Proverbs chapter 14. I want you to look at a verse that's found twice in the book of Proverbs. Same verse. Any time that God wants to emphasize something, anytime you see anything in the Word of God more than once, God wants you to pay special attention to it. So every word in this Bible is inspired by God, and men wrote it as they were moved by the Holy Spirit of God to do so. So when God has it the second time, it wasn't that God made a mistake. He wants to emphasize something. This is probably one of the biggest sins that men commit. Stay with me. Proverbs chapter 14, look with me in verse 12. There is a way which seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. All right, look over in Proverbs chapter 16. Proverbs chapter 16, look in verse 25. There is a way that seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. Same thing. One more place I want you to read, and it's in 1 Corinthians chapter 3. Turn over there with me, and I got one verse here I want to read, and we'll get into message. 1 Corinthians chapter 3. Look in verse 18. Let no man deceive himself. If any man among you seemeth to be wise in this world, let him become a fool, that he may be wise. Is that what your Bible says? Let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you, Lord, tonight for the opportunity to preach. You know the need of the message in every heart in this place. God, I pray that in a special way you'll move in our midst tonight. Father, help us to see some things that maybe we've never really thought of in this way. I pray, God, you'll help us tonight. Help me to preach with power, but also with love and compassion. In Jesus' precious name we pray. Amen. Be seated. I was looking at this yesterday. Monday we were gone all day. I was looking at this yesterday, and I began to realize some things. It amazes me how many times you find, or you don't find, the word seem or seemeth mentioned in the Bible. This is one of the few that you'll find the word seemeth right. Now, people, one of the things that we fall off the cliff on so many times, so many young people, now young people listen to me, this is especially down your alley. Everything that seems right is not right. And it's not a real good idea to go with the crowd. People say, well, so-and-so is a great preacher. Look at the crowds he has. Let me remind you that Hitler had crowds. But he wasn't all that good of a person, amen. And it wasn't because he was a good leader. He was a madman. Now, I want us to look at this tonight and just think about it. We set tonight a lot of young men, good men, that's been raised and taught right from the time they were little bitty children and raised in church, have been taught by good Sunday school teachers and been taught by good preachers and psalm preachers and Bible preachers. But they go to colleges and sit at the feet of professors that deny the virgin birth, they deny this Bible, they deny everything, and these men sit there, and everything they've been taught all their life is taken apart and dissected it. And the reason that is these professors are teaching what seems right to them. They say, I can't comprehend a God like the God of the Bible. That don't seem logical. That a man can live 33 and a half years on this earth, as wicked as it is, without sin. It doesn't seem logical that a man like that would die and give his life, that men might have life, and he would even die for people that rejected him and laughed at him and mocked him and everything else. That doesn't seem logical. So that doesn't seem right. Some of these guys will face God one day because they have shook the faith of some good men. Are you listening? When I began to read the Bible years before I was saved, I wanted to find out one thing. I didn't want to read it through just to say I read it through, but I wanted to find out if it was the Word of God. I had to know myself. I didn't want somebody to tell me that it was. I wanted to know it was. Now there's one way you can do that. Read the Word of God, go into it with an open mind, asking God to show you what it is. Now I was a lost person. I wasn't able to get prayers answered. I didn't know that. But I did go into it with an open mind. When God saved me at the age of 27, I went through it again. I didn't read it through. I studied it through. And I came out with the conclusion, when I got out, I realized this has got to be the Word of God. Man couldn't have wrote it. Man is too hard on man. He wouldn't have been that hard on man if man had wrote it. God just says, this is the way it is. This is my word. This is what I want you to understand. But all of this stuff is under attack because people are going at what seems logical. I get calls every week down here. People will call me, even from Madisonville, that I used to pastor. They say, Brother Cleat, I'm in a mess. I'm in a terrible situation, and it seemed like the right thing. It seemed like the right decision. It seemed like that's the way I should have went. Let me say again. There is a way that seemeth right to a man, but the end thereof is death. This is a very, very, very powerful two verses that say the same thing. Now, I've got a lot to tell you tonight, and I don't know whether I get out of here sometime. I don't know when I will. Amen. But you think about it. You think about people sitting in colleges and professors trying to shake their faith. I got an email the other day that I read. This teacher told this little first grade class, told Tommy, said, go out, fishing to see the sky. He come back and said, yes, he is. He said, do you see the blackboard? He said, yes, he is. She said, do you see me? Yes. She said, but you didn't see God while you was out there. He said, no, I didn't. She said, the reason for that is there isn't. And this little girl got up. She said, can I ask some questions? She said, sure. She asked him, she said, you did see the sky? She said, yeah. The little boy said, yeah. She said, do you see me? Yeah. He said, do you see the teacher's brain? She said, no. She said, maybe that's because she don't have one. Amen. Oh, that's pretty good for a 6-year-old kid. Amen. I mean, well, logic is logic, right? What's wrong with her version? Right down the line, if you're going by what you can see, there's a lot of things you can see. I've never seen the wind, but you're going to have a hard time convincing me that it don't blow once in a while. Amen? If you've got to have something in your hand, then you're going to spend your life walking by sight, and God's not in that. Amen? And but if you're going to ever find God, you're going to have to turn some faith belief and believe that He is, and that He runs this thing, and that He wrote this book. If you don't, somebody will shake you. Bear with me. Now, if you'll honestly read this book through with an open mind, you can't come to but one conclusion. It's the Word of God. Now, we have a thing today that's called secular humanism. The philosophy is this: there is no God, and you can be what you want to be simply because you make up your mind you want to be one. And it's within you to follow the path that you best see fit to accomplish your goals and what you want out of life. Now, I want to remind you of what God said. He said, without me, you can do nothing. So how am I going to make up my mind I'm going to do something without God, when I can't even walk without Him, I can't even talk without Him, I don't even exist without Him, and neither do you. So this is false. Amen. Now, people teach their children from little bitty things. You do good, you go to heaven. You do bad, you go to hell. And kids grow up believing that. Amen. It's not good people go to heaven and bad people go to hell. It's saved people go to heaven and unsaved people go to hell, period. Amen. For by grace are you saved through faith, and not by yourself. Not by yourself. It's the gift of God, not of works, lest any man should boast. I mean, just take the book for what it says. Amen. Now, I can't, in my mind, and I've said this many times in your presence, and I'm going to say it as long as God gives me breath. My mind, such as it is, I cannot, in my wildest imagination, comprehend hell. I listened to this tape today, and I just, I can't imagine, and I've tried to imagine somebody not with a foot in the fire, but somebody in a lake of fire, a human torch, as bad as a burn hurts, burning forever, but never burning up. We don't have the mind to comprehend that. But you know what I believe? Why? Because God said there was. My culture don't want to think about somebody being bad. But I got enough sense to know people are, because people make that choice. And people go, you know why multitudes and thousands of people are in hell tonight? Is because they follow the way that seems right without God. They don't have any God's leadership. They don't have any direction. They don't have anything of God in it. And there's a way that seemeth right to man, but God said that the end thereof, way of death. These fools in some of these colleges, Bible rejectors and humanists, they reckon this country in the minds of young people with this tummy rock. You know, the reason they do that is because it gives them pleasure and satisfaction to try to come across with something logical that they can look like an intellect in the eyes of people just like that amount is. Some people put great stock in wisdom. I just read you where God said if a man thinks he's wise, it'd be better to become a fool so he could become wise. Amen? That's what the book says. Amen? Now, listen, people that do this are guilty of idolatry and mind worship. Are you listening? Idolatry and mind worship. Now, secular humanists in our schools are brainwashing our children. Now, don't get me wrong, there are still some teachers that pray even though they're not supposed to pray. There's still teachers that talk about the Bible even though they're not supposed to. Donna was reading a thing in the paper today to me. We had to go to Madisonville, and she was reading a thing to me in the paper. The the ACLU and people along that line are sending people into churches across this nation to sense what they're preaching. I mean, you may have some people come in and sit down and try to figure out just exactly what we're preaching and where we're going. In other words, some of it wants to find out if you preach this Bible. So it's getting rough out there. Now, this kind of talk from professors doesn't come from them, it comes from the devil. The devil wants these professors to say something that will make them feel mentally wise and important or scholarly at the expense of anyone. Amen. Now, a person that teaches to glorify himself is no smarter than a person that can't read or write. If you don't believe in hell and the guy that can't read or write don't believe in hell, what's the difference in their intelligence? Neither one of them has. Are you with me? You know, I talked to a man one time that told me that he couldn't conceive a God like the Bible describes. You don't have to conceive. All you got to do is just take what God says. They say things like, where did God come from? That's where the faith comes. He's always been here. Thank God he always will be. He lives in here, and he'll never leave me either. Or forsake me, is what he said. I'll take that. Amen. Amen. There's a way, anything that seemeth right to you, listen to me. Anything that seemeth right to you without God, bring it to. There's two things that seem right to us, and this is what I want to talk about. Number one, our way of life seems right to us. People all over this nation tonight, all over the world, are searching for something to make them happy. That's what the alcoholic's looking for. That's what the drug addict's looking for. That's what streetwalkers are looking for, and prostitutes and all of that kind. They're looking for something that will make them happy. But they're following a way that seemeth right. Look at the people that fall in this pit, or I'll go over here so I can make more money. And God says the love of money, not money, but the love of money is the root of all evil. So if I sacrifice my family and they don't ever hear the Word of God, and we don't have our church where they can hear anything that'll make them grow in the things of God, and I sacrifice them for $1, that seems right because I can take care of their physical needs, but I won't die and go to hell because I neglect the spiritual needs. I talked to a man this week. Yesterday, man, over the door. And you hear this so much. Now listen. They say it like this. I only have one life to live. I want to live it to the fullest. This is what this guy said. I said one question about it. He said, what? I said, what brings the fullest life? See, one question brings on another question. If you want to live life to the fullest, what would fill it up more? Deep stuff, ain't it? Y'all didn't come prepared to think tonight, did you? Now, there's a way that seemeth right to a man. Now listen to me. There's people tonight that got off work and went to a bar and will drink alcohol till midnight and start sobering up so they can go back to work in the morning. You know why? Because he's worked all day, and it seemeth right to go do something he enjoys. But remember, the end thereof is the way of it. People inject drugs into their bloodstream, take a trip. They live it up and live in sensual, lascivious sex. You know why? Because when a man tries to find his own way of life, that's the way of death. You show me a man that decides that he just makes a clear-cut decision that he's going to live his life without God, and he's going to become a millionaire, he's going to enjoy this life to the fullest. Let's say that he makes $100 million. But he has still got a vacancy in his soul and his heart because money doesn't fill void. If money brought all the happiness, then the people that had the most money would be the happiest. Is that right? And you know that's not true. So that's the way that seemeth right. People sacrifice life and limb, kill themselves. I read about a man that he had in his mind, a young guy. He had in his mind that he was going to attain $10 million in his lifetime. He worked day and night, 16, 17-hour days. He made it. He got $10 million. Had it clear in the bank. But he had one goal in life. He wanted to get to where he could live on easy street the rest of his life, and he escaped whatever else he wanted. 35 years of age, he attained $10 million, but he had burned himself out so much that the only thing he could eat was apples. Well, he could buy any brand of applesauce he wanted. What did he accomplish? Oh, listen to me. The way that seemeth right to you, the way that seems right to you, without God ends in misery and heartbreak and heartache and suffering. Now, young people, if that's what you want to do, you'll find this out. But just remember, when you get there and find it out, you heard it here. The devil convinces millions of people that the way of life is in pleasure. That's a flat lie. There's so many people that followed that path. They wound up miserable and wrecked and ruined. Don't have anything now to show for it. So a man gets to be a billionaire. If you don't have God, you'll spend the rest of your life worried about somebody beating you out of it. What have you got when you get it? I'm just asking a few questions tonight. I'm trying to be... Just listen to me. I read this story. It's a true story. This man was a millionaire. He had got an eye put out on his jaw. A piece of steel hit his eye and put it out. He spent $100,000 at this clinic. They fitted him with this eye, right eye. It was the finest that man could possibly make. They fitted this thing and altered the muscles and things in his eye to where he can move that eye and bite it and all these things. It looked so real. And he enjoyed going up to people and saying, I've got one glass eye, can you tell me which one it is? And nobody could tell because it was so real and it looked so real. He walked up to a little girl standing on the street, going down the street with a quart of milk in her hand in a sack. He walked up to her and said, can I ask you a question? He said, sure. He said, I've got a glass eye. Can you tell me which one it is? And she picked it this way. He said, how did you do that? He said, because that one doesn't have any love. You know what's wrong with this nation tonight? Doesn't have any love. Amen. They don't have any love in it. Everybody's out got to, number one, tread the path that seemeth right to them without God. The reason you've got so many paths is on the side. For the end thereof is the way of death. You listen to me. God's way is the way. God's plan is the plan. God's direction is the direction. God's will is what you need in your life more than you need health, wealth, or anything else. I'm trying to be civil about this, but I'm getting cranky. Amen. Listen to me. If you swallow the devil's lies and you want to live your life in sin, but you want to live your life to the fullest, and you're living it in a way that seemeth right to you, I want to remind you of what God said. Why? The end there. And number two, our way of salvation seems right. The devil has sold people on a way of salvation that's counterfeit. I mean, there's people, hey, let me just show you here. We talked about teaching kids, if you do good, you go to heaven. If you do bad, you go to hell. All right, take that back. Where did that wind up? That's people that teach that you have to live it if you make it. Now let me say this again. Wrong. You don't have the capabilities to live nothing. The Christian life is when you yield your life to God and allow Him to live it through you. Amen. And the more yielded you are to God, the better things work, the better things go, and the more you look like Him and act like Him and be like Him. Praise God, it's simply because you yielded your life to Him and allowed Him to live it through you. But how many are on the junk pile tonight because they tried it and didn't live it? They tried to turn over a new leaf and then eat a whole new tree. What about the people that say, hold on? Hang in there. Well, if Noah had wanted that, he'd have drove 8 pigs in the side of the ark and said, hang on, it's going to be a rough ride. You're still hanging when this thing lands. You got him there. That didn't happen that way, did it? I believe he said, come into the ark, and God shut the door. See, all of these ways are counterfeit. Why? Because you're trying to do something without Jesus, and you're trying to live it, and you're trying to do it, and you're trying to live above sin, and all of this kind of stuff, and you're letting go down to 2, because salvation is of the Lord. And it's a matter of yielding to Him and let Him do the living. Hold on, hold out, swing in, swing out, whatever else you want to do. But without God, it's all hopeless anyway. Seems like that I hold on, I can stay safe. Seems like if I join a church, I can be safe. It seems if I get my baby sprinkled, he'll be saved when he gets gone. Hey, you're looking at me funny. People do this expecting to get to heaven because they did. If I can just get by this initial thing and get baptized, I'm going to heaven. You know why? That seems religious. Church membership seems religious. That's the way that seems right to man. But the thing of it is, you should never even consider going in a church until you get saved. And baptism, according to this book, is the first act of obedience after you get saved. According to this book. It seems right that if I confess my sins to a priest, I'll be in good shape. But the Bible says, now listen, this is what the book says. The wages of sin is death. Romans 6:23. The Bible says that we're all sinners. Romans chapter 5, verse 6. The Bible says you must be born again. John chapter 3, verse 3. And on and on and on and on and go. You're either going to take God's way or you're going to try a way that seems right to you. And God says that way, the end of it, is death. Y'all listen? Let me ask you a question, and I'm not trying to pilfer. I'm almost done, but just listen. Just look this way just a minute. How many times in your life if you had a decision to make and you said, it just seems to me this would be what I think? And how many times have you hung up in a mud road with nobody to pull you out? How many times have you saturated something in prayer before you did? And this little still small voice in here says this is the way. But how many times have you said, well, it just seems to me. Some of y'all looking funny. I'm just telling you what the book says. Now, but Brother Cleat, this being born again, Nicodemus said, how can a man be born the second time? God, he can't be that. I'm a full-grown man. My mother can't give me birth the second time. But God's talking about once to your mother, once to God. Once you were born into an earthly family, the second time you were born into a heavenly family. Let me go ahead and finish this. Some of y'all beginning to look old. How many times have you had people say, that's not just something, that's just not right? Well, honey, take your logic and put on the fact that a sinless, virgin-born Son of God came to this earth, suffered himself to be beaten beyond recognition by men, nailed to a cross, hung on a cross with 12-inch spikes to his hands and feet, till every drop of blood he had, and what didn't run out, they run a spear in his side, up into his heart, puncturing his heart, and drained out the rest. For somebody that's as big a misfit as me and you. And he did that because he loved you. Put your logic on that. I don't know. Honest to God, I'm a country boy. I was born in Main Mountain, Kentucky, but so help me God. I've looked at them. I've milked enough cows, bless God, that the milk would run a river from here to the first stoplight down there. But I look at them cows and I think about, how in the world does a brown cow eat green grass, give white milk and yellow butter? Some of you logical folks explain that. But you know others still drink milk and eat butter. Explain it? I don't know why Jesus died for me. I know he loved me. That's all I know. That's all I need to know. Sorry that he had to give his life. But I thank God every day that he did. That don't seem that anybody would do that, but he did. And all I do is just accept what he did by faith. I better stop never saying. I read this story in a missionary magazine, and let me read this little part of it here. Years ago, there was a fort built near Bellary. It was designed by French engineers for a sultan. The sultan came to examine the fort, and it was an amazing fort, but the sultan noticed a big tall hill outside the fort. He threw a fit. And they tore down the fort and built the fort around the hill. Now, if they had left the hill outside the fort, The enemy could have looked down in the fort at the people and attacked him at will. Can I remind you something? On a hill far away stood an old rugged cross, emblem of suffering and pain. And I love that old cross for the dearest and best, for a world of lost sinners was slain. Listen to me. If you got a hill inside your heart, you don't, you'll be destroyed, do you? If you get the cross and what Jesus did on the cross, on the hill in your heart, if you leave the hill outside the fort, you'll never be safe. You need to put the cross of Jesus in your life. If you gain wealth and don't have Jesus, you still got a hunger in your heart. Look at Matthew chapter 16, and I'm finishing up. Say that while I go then. I really mean it this time. I just want to show you a couple of scriptures, and I'm done. Let's just say a person gained the whole world's wealth without Jesus. Matthew chapter 16, verse 26. For what is a man profited if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange? So you gain the wealth and the whole world. What good is it without God? Let's say you gain great wisdom. You still have hunger in your heart. Why? Because God made you to need Him. We have to live and face the heartaches and sorrows of life, but you also have to die and face God. Everybody in here is going to do those two. I've seen teenage girls that believe the devil's lie and had babies. One in particular that I know of, the week before had turned 13. Her mom and daddy allowed her to car date at 12. Let me tell you something. You're some kind of a super idiot if you let a kid car date at 12. You ought to be running through the mill and checked out. I talked to a beautiful lady in Indiana who was with her husband one night. She made this statement. I'm talking about a pretty lady. Very petite lady. Her husband was a nice, clean-cut, well-built young man. He had a nice job. They had a beautiful home. We went and ate supper with him. And this lady looked at me and big old tears run down her face. And she said, I had one thought since I've been a little girl about 10 years old. I wanted to have a home, a husband, and a family. She said, because the wrong choices disease has destroyed my business. Big old tears. They had a 3-car garage. They had chandeliers in the ceiling, a beautiful home. But she sat and talked to the preacher and cried because she said bad choices and disease destroyed my business. That's it. I'm one of my men. Don't believe the devil. He's a liar. He's a thief. He's a crook. I've been preaching 34 years, the 16th day of July. You listen to me. I've preached 654 revivals in my life. I have never, ever had anybody come to me and say, I tried it God's way and the Bible way, and it wrecked my life. Boy, it's like an army that comes by. Said, it seemed like the best decision. God. The answer to the right way and the right way to heaven is Jesus. Or you may build a fortress, but let me ask you a couple of questions and I'm done. Is your healer inside or outside? Is Jesus inside or outside your heart? Don't do what seems right, but what God says. You know, this old boy said, but Brother Cleat, this seems so right, and it seems to bring so much pleasure. You know what he was talking about? He worked 2 jobs. He was gone night and day. He neglected his family. He's got teenage children today that are going to hell. His wife got tired of living alone. He sits at home with a fat bank account. It seems like the right thing to do. He's really going to prepare well to take care of his children, but the way that seems right, man was a mission. You know what he told me? That I'd consider it. Listen to me. God's book says twice, not once, twice. There is a way, seemeth right, but the end there. Listen to me. If God takes me home and I never make the jailhouse, listen to me. One thing, if I could leave something to the heart and the mind of you, I'd want you to say, well, one thing I remember Brother Cleat preached regularly is the will of God. If I haven't preached anything else to you in 10 years, bless God, you ought to be running out door knocking. You know why? Because most people, the will of God means nothing. You know why? They're following away. That's it. But Father, you know why the message tonight? Lord, sure as I'm an inside, there's people here that need you. I know I do. Lord, would you touch hearts tonight with the Word of God? Holy Spirit, will you deal with hearts tonight? If there's one on the sound of my voice that knows you're not the Savior, will you draw him, Lord, and he's been saved in the heart? Jesus, one of these young Lord, all they've got on their mind is doing it their way. Father, will you help them tonight just to restore some of them? Move those that need to be moved, touch those that need to be touched, stir those that need to be stirred, but hear God save those that need to be saved. Jesus' name we pray. Altar is open. God spoke to your heart tonight. You come on.